welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC 319, Plessis versus Chimaev. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get to our first prediction. So, in our first fight, we have in the flyweight division, we got Idiris versus Joseph Morales. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Idiris to beat Joseph Morales. If I guess it was a little bit more proven as far as the UFC level. Like, he did good on the Ultimate Fighter. I don't know what happened with that, but looked pretty good on there. But I don't feel like he's all that rounded out, like, as far as offensive grappling game. If he had a more of an offensive grappling game, I'd probably be even bigger on him here to beat Morales. But the fact that I feel like both prefer to strike, that does make this fight a little bit tougher. But this should be Idris' fight to win. But I'm not going to put no greater confidence in him till, again, he starts to do that in the UFC. But, yeah. But, yeah, I think he should be the better striker and the better grappler. And I think he could get it done in the distance. But again, it's not really like a dislike of this. I just need more tape from him inside the UFC, which again, he's gonna start to build that. He should win this fight. By no means am I gonna get like over invested to him in his debut, you know. But in this one, I got Idris. I think he's gonna be I'll strike him, I'll grapple him, maybe like a club and sub. I'll say late second round submission after catch him on the feet and tap him out in the second round. So in this one, I have Idris via second round submission. Matter of fact, I'll go second round TKO. Second round TKO. Ignore what I say. Second round TKO. Because he only got like one submission win on his record. Then I say that right there. But he got like one submission record. So I'm going to go second round TKO. Next fight we have in the women's flyweight division. We got Silva versus Barboza. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Silva to beat Barboza. I think Barboza is a problem here. But I do think when she gets taken down, she spends way too much time on bottom. And I think Silva will look to exploit that. Barboza is solid on the ground, but where I feel like she could beat Silva is as far as Barboza. I think she is the better striker. I think she is the more well-rounded fighter. But you got to work to get back to your feet to tire out Silva so that you can have more success. They start to get your own takedowns and stuff. But if you're too accepting of the bottom position, and I've not seen great urgency for her to return to the feet. Again, not a whole lot of tape as far as both of these women. It's enough tape, but it's not a whole lot of tape to say, oh, she's improved from this, improved for that. So that's what I'm saying. It's not that tape. Barbosa had that loss to, what's her name? Maverick. But she hasn't had a fight where she had to show she had improved from that. And obviously, Maverick is a higher level than Silva, obviously. But she hasn't had that fight where she had to go in there with another wrestler or another person looking to take her down, and she showed the ability to stuff takedowns or get popped back into her feet quick. Like, she hasn't shown that yet. She got to give me fight her fight fall on that. She did what she was supposed to do. So, yeah. I can't say that Barbosa is going to be able to come out here and make these adjustments. I have not seen her need to do them yet. And I've not seen her need to do them yet, and I have not seen her do them yet because she has not needed to do them. And she got to give me fight her last fight. And I think Silva's going to learn from her loss to Araujo, who's a veteran. Come in here, better condition, take advantage of those takedowns, and really grind on the clock with those top position. I still think it's going to be a close fight, but I think Silva's just going to win this with her control time. Close competitive fight, probably close and even on the feet. Barbosa probably winning a little bit more on the feet. But Silva being able to milk large control time. And Barbosa probably was outlining her by probably about 5 strikes after the fight is over. So not a big gap there. But Silva probably dominating the control time, probably like 7 minutes to like a minute or something. So that'll be the bigger deciding factor here. And Silva will get her hand raised. So in this one, I got Silva via decision. The sickness does not want to leave me. Next fight we have in the middleweight division, Ruziboev versus Brian Battle. And how do I feel about this one right here? I'm going low confidence Brian Battle to beat Ruziboev. And yeah, Ruziboev is extremely live here. Big body. He's improving upon his wrestling defense, his grappling defense. And it's not like Brian Battle is textbook anything. His strike is not textbook. His defense is very sloppy or very open. He's coming back up to middleweight, fighting Ruziboev at his best weight. Ruziboev went to welterweight as far as in the UFC one time. Was not a good look. As far as that middleweight, I think he's undefeated at middleweight as far as in the UFC. But it is what it is. I need both guys to get undefeated at middleweight. But yeah, I'm going Brian Battle here. Not a whole lot of confidence. But I think he'll be able to smother Ruziboev. And I do think that Ruziboev does kind of suffer as far as the pacing issue. And I think Brian Battle will look to exploit that. Constantly be in his face, constantly pressure him, constantly making him work. And I think he'll be able to break down and outwork Ruziboev. I don't think he stops Ruziboev, but I do think he outworks and outgrinds Ruziboev to a decision here. And also the positive here is Ruziboev is not really a great offensive wrestler, so that's not going to be an issue for Brian Battle. He don't really care about Ruziboev defending takedowns from him because Brian Battle's not really a big takedown guy. But so I guess again the benefit for Brian Battle is, like I said, Brian Battle could go for a lot of takedowns, but that's not really his game. He's just trying to tire you out and break you down. And it'd be a big issue if Ruziboev was a great offensive wrestler. That'd be an issue for Brian Battle, but that's not the case. So Brian Battle will be the pusher back and be the one pressing more. I still think this is a close competitive fight, but ultimately I think Brian Battle is going to have the higher work rate, and Ruziboev is going to suffer in that department. So in this one, I have Brian Battle via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, we got Edson Barboza versus Drakkar Klose. And how do I feel about this one right here? I'm going low confidence. Edson Barboza to beat Drakkar Klose. I think Drakkar Klose is a solid fighter, but yeah, I just don't feel like he has all the tools. Like, he could definitely win this one. By no means am I counting him out. Like, that's why I'm going low confidence. He does have the wrestling. He does have striking. He does have underrated power as well. He could push Barboza on the back foot. He does have good IQ. But, yeah, Barboza's actually looking pretty decent despite getting up there in age, and the how to beat him. The strategy guy has been out there in public so long. Like, he's been looking pretty good. I don't know why my alert's still going off. You know, I got my sound all the way down, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think Drakkar Klose will have a lot of things, but I just think he's not gonna be able to put it together. I think Edson Barboza gonna come back to 55, looking strong and solid, and still be quick. And yeah, I think he'll be able to find the chin of Klose and put him out of there. I think it'll be Klose will try to smother him and do what people do to beat Edson Barboza, like try to stay in his face, try to touch him, try to mix in the level change and stuff. But I think Barboza's gonna be too quick. Probably when he tried to level change, probably beat him with an uppercut or a spinning back kick, chew his legs up, chop him down, and then probably soften his body up to get him to drop his hands, then catch him with a hook and drop close, then finish him off. And I'm gonna say second round TKO for Edson Barboza. So in this one, I got Edson Barboza via second round TKO. Now for our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, we got Alexander Hernandez versus Chase Hooper. And how do I feel about this fight right here? Is I'm going, oh my gosh, all these notifications, like, what's going on here? Like, you're not even saying nothing. Like, what's going on? Come on now. Come on now. And I'm not editing none of this out. I ain't editing a dang out. But yeah. How do I feel about this one right here? Low confidence Chase Hooper. Yeah, low confidence. I could go average, but Hernandez is high-key a tough matchup for him. He's a strong, squatty wrestler. He's not old and washed. The guy's only 32 years old. Supposed to be smack dab in his prime. Chase Hooper is extremely young at 25. So Hernandez can wrestle, has a wrestling background, big and strong. Hooper's striking is inconsistent, and he hasn't shown to be extremely durable. So Hernandez could definitely look to stuff the takedown and beat a bigger, explosive striker and look to, cause Hooper issues. But Hooper's on a good momentum, and I think he's only going to continue to get better. Hernandez has shown cardio issues. And I think Hooper can look to mix it up, break him down, and tap him out. I would say like a third round sub for Hooper. But I do think this will be a close competitive fight. But I think Hooper starts to break him down over the course of the fight with his rangy, unorthodox striking. And then after break him down, he's able to get that takedown, get that scramble, and tap out a tired Hernandez in the third round. So in this one, I got Chase Hooper via third round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, we got Jessica Andrade versus Lupita Godinez. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Jessica Andrade to beat Lupita Godinez. And stylistically wise, it seems like a good matchup for Lupita Godinez. Momentum wise, it seems like a good matchup for Lupita Godinez. But how many wins is she really on? She's like a one fight winning streak. But the thing with Godinez is, I feel like every time she gets in this spot, she loses. Like, she had the Hill fight, she lost. She had, what else she lost to? She had didn't she lose to Mackenzie Dern too? She lost to Hill, I think. She lost to Mackenzie Dern. She lost to Crazy Eyes. What's that chick name? That's about to fight for a belt. Every single time she gets in a spot like this, where she's fighting like a former champion, or well, she hasn't fought a former champion, has she? No. But every time she fights a fighter who's established, like truly established, she always kind of chokes. Like, she choked against Hill. She choked against Dern. She choked in her debut. So she chokes at this spot. Like I said, this might be the time she gets over the hump, but it's been like she's like 0-4 or 0-3 in this spot. And I do like Andrade as the dog here, so I'm going to go with Andrade here. I could say a TKO, but Lupita Godinez has shown to be tough. I'll say decision for Andrade. Probably not the best underdog pick, but the value's there. And this is the spot that Godinez has failed at like 3 or 4 times. So I think Andrade at 115, the wrestling ain't gonna be that big an issue for her, especially when you look at who has wrestled Andrade. Like it's been like Valentina Shevchenko, it's been like Weili Zhang, it's been who else? Really solid people. And the last person who beat her, dominated on the ground, was a very big flyweight. So she's going to 115, and it's not like Lupita Godinez is a big strawweight. So she's coming back down to a smaller weight class. And I think the size and strength and grappling of Godinez ain't gonna be what she has faced, what Andrade had issues with at flyweight. Again, maybe like a better, stronger strawweight, like Weili Zhang or something. But I think she'll be able to deal with Godinez. Beat out striker, break her down, maybe even drop her once or twice in this fight. Probably a close competitive fight, but Godinez once again coming up short on the decision. So in this one, I got Jessica Andrade via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, we got Meerschaert versus Mikhail Oleksiekjczuk. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Meerschaert to beat Mikhail Oleksiekjczuk. Yeah, Mikhail is an amazing striker, but his biggest issue has always been grappling. I think he's been submitted like in the majority of his losses, and he's been submitted like 7 times. Meerschaert's a savvy veteran. Like I think he could deal with the striking of Mikhail Oleksiekjczuk. I think he could even surprise him on the feet, maybe even drop or hurt Mikhail Oleksiekjczuk. But I definitely think he could dominate him on the ground. And I think at some point in this fight, Meerschaert will be able to get him to the ground. And I think on the ground, he'll be able to submit him. You know, I think the gap between their grappling is bigger than the gap between their striking. And Meerschaert's a savvy veteran. And he has come through many times as a dog, especially in a situation like this where he's going in with a striker. And Meerschaert has a huge grappling advantage. I think he'll be able to rally, probably a rough first round, but able to get the takedown in the second. And from there, dominate and get Oleksiekjczuk out of there via submission. So in this one, I got Meerschaert via second round submission. Now to our next fight we have in the lightweight division, we got King Green or Bobby Green versus Diego Ferreira. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence, King Green, Bobby Green to beat Diego Ferreira. I think King Green has always had great scramble ability. I think he'll do a good job of addressing the grappling, the offensive takedowns for Ferreira. You know, whether it be defending the takedown, rolling out of the takedown, or if he does get taken out, maybe pop back up and scramble out of some situations. You know, I just think he's a faster, sharper striker. But Ferreira's on some good momentum, but I think King Green, I think this fight will he'll be able to pop back in and get a decision victory and show that he still has a little bit of life left in his career and pull off an upset against Diego Ferreira. So, in this one, I have King Green via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the flyweight division, we got Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Kai Asakura to beat Tim Elliott. So, I don't know what's going on with Tim Elliott's life right now, but I think he hasn't fought very recently. He hasn't fought in like a year or two, but Asakura is coming off a loss to the champion. And I think he's going to be motivated by that loss. Like, instead of discouraged by it, come in with better takedown defense. He already has much sharper striking than Elliott. And I think he'll be able to address the grappling and pick apart Elliott on the feet and put him away, I'm going to say, second round TKO. So, in this one, I got Kai Asakura via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, we got Jared Cannonier versus Michael Page. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Michael Page to beat Jared Cannonier. And, yeah, this is a dangerous fight, to be honest. Cannonier has the power to put anyone lights out with one punch. And Michael Page does invite that. Like, he lives off it, like, beating you to that punch, but you never know what could happen. But I still go Michael Page here. I think he's a much better striker. And Jared Cannonier's path to victory always seems to just lie on striking. He hasn't really shown no great offensive takedown, no great offensive anything as far as grappling. Like, you know, if he gets you there after he hurts you, he can beat you up on the ground with some ground and pound. His ground and pound definitely is nothing to play with. But he has never been that, take you down and submit you, or take you down and control you and ground and pound your guy. So I don't think that's going to do him the best success here. And I think the speed is going to be a big issue for Michael Page. I mean, a big issue for Cannonier. The speed of Michael Page is going to be a big issue for Cannonier. And what I'll say decision Michael Page. Decision Michael Page. I think it'll be quick and sharp, be able to run Cannonier to knees, elbows, spinning back elbows, straights, flying kicks, and just cause Cannonier a lot of issue. And like Cannonier did when he dealt with the speed of Izzy, the speed and length of Adesanya, we did see Cannonier freeze up. And I feel like it's going to be a similar situation where he's going to be looking for that big counter, loading up. Early on, he probably going to feel like he can read him a little bit. Then when he's not able to find that read, he's just going to start to just shell up and look for and swing for the fences, like this swing and pray type of counter to catch Page. But I just don't think it's ever going to really come for him. And Page is going to be too fast, too sharp, and just be exploiting Cannonier, just loading up and swinging for the fences. So, or just completely shelling up and locking up like he did in the Adesanya fight. So, in this one, I got Michael Page via decision. Now, to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, we got Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence. Carlos Prates to beat Jeff Neal. I just feel like Prates is the bigger, younger, sharper striker. Bigger, younger, longer. 6'1 versus 5'11", 78 in reach. 31 versus 34, so 3 years younger. He's about 2 inches taller, and he'll have 3-inch reach advantage. And I think he'll use all those things. And I think he'll be very motivated coming off that loss to Ian Gary, where if he would have did just a little bit more, got started a little bit early, the tail of that fight could have been a lot different. And yeah, I think Prates will be too long, too sharp. And also I just think Jeff Neal just chokes when he fights true prospects. Like, I feel like every single time he fights a prospect, he just doesn't show up. Like, what prospect can we say that Jeff Neal really beat? Like, a prospect that's, like, here. Not like, oh, I beat, what's his name? Bilal Muhammad in the past before he was even ranked. But, like, what prospect that's ranked and we are really already in the title picture to him? Like, he lost to Ian Gary. He lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov. And I feel like Carlos Prates is at least in the same sentence in a sense. Like, he's not there yet, but he's, like, right there. And I feel like people just say this, they got to, like, Neal just kind of breaks down against him. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good, fun fight. But I think Prates is going to be a break him down, and I see him stopping him in the second round. I think Prates is going to be faster, sharper, crack more, and be able to break Jeff Neal down and put him away second round. So, in this one, I got Carlos Prates via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event, we have in the featherweight division, we got Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. And how do I feel about this one right here is I'm going low confidence Lerone Murphy to beat Aaron Pico by decision here. Just say the whole thing flat out. This seems like these Bellator guys have not been able to win in their first fights, at least. I mean, Michael Chandler did. But other than that, he didn't really measure up to the UFC. But who else came over? Pitbull came over, and there was another Bellator guy that came over that didn't win in their first fight. But anyway, there's been like a couple Bellator guys that came over, and they've lost their first fights. And Pico, and also like the thing is, rankings matter, UFC level matter, and you gotta get your feet work. I said your feet work. You gotta get your feet wet, I guess, at this level. Despite of who you train with, despite what you accomplish outside of UFC, it seemed like when they try to rush people up the rank, like Pico's coming in, he's fighting a guy who probably should be fighting for a belt or one win away from fighting for the belt. And if Pico comes in and dominates Murphy, he might get the next title shot. So this is a big deal. And I know Pico thinks it's a big deal. I know Murphy knows it's a big deal. But it seemed like that they're just not winning at this UFC level, especially not in their first fight. And especially when it comes to rankings. Especially rankings this high up. But yeah, Pico's definitely elite. Probably the best wrestler that Murphy will have ever faced or even trained with. Pico has amazing boxing, at least offensively. So it's going to be a lot of issues for Murphy. But Murphy has been there. He has been in a lot of rough fights. And he's not ready to just give this L up to a guy who just got here as far as the UFC. Like Murphy's undefeated in the UFC, or at least has not lost. He got to get a draw in the UFC. You know, he had these rough fights with, ranked contenders and veterans. And again, he's not ready to give that up just yet. So, I think Murphy will probably land the cleaner shots, probably fight more safer defense. I also think Murphy does have the better defense than Pico. Murphy does have some solid defense for the most part. So I think he'll be able to address the grappling pretty well. Pico, I think he'll be able to work behind the jab more, roll with the shots, catch him on the shoulder and the arms, and exploit Pico and walk Pico into some counters. I think this will be a good, close, competitive fight. That probably goes to a split decision like Murphy style, but I think Murphy will have the cleaner fundamental striking to be more economical, land at a higher clip, defend at a better clip, and win a very close fight against a very game Pico. But I also want to say on Pico's side, the other guys that have been coming over here from Bellator have been older. Like, they've been like 35 plus. Pico is extremely young. We probably still not even 30 yet. Yeah, only 28 years old, so he is different. The other guys that have been coming over have been older. Murphy's the older guy here at 34, whereas Pico's 28 and still has a lot of upside here. But this is a big step up for Pico as far as jumping to the UFC, then jumping in there and fighting a guy who could be fighting for the belt or should be fighting for the belt. So I got to go with Murphy here because, again, these Bellator guys just have not been measured up in their first fight. And this is a big step up. I feel like Pico's better for him, but obviously if he wins, this is better for him. But it would have been better, maybe give him a Dan Ige or maybe give him like a guy that's at the bottom of the ranking. And then if he knocks him out, looks great, then you could jump him up or, give him somebody in the ranking. And then maybe 2-3 fights he'd be here or 2 fights he'd be here. Fight a guy like Murphy, be better acquitted for it, account for himself. And then he'd probably be the true favorite here or something. But I haven't looked at the odds yet. But I'm pretty sure he's probably the underdog. But yeah, as far as this one, I'm going Lerone Murphy via decision, low confidence. Now to our Main event we have in the middleweight division for the undisputed middleweight championship, the UFC middleweight championship. We got Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm actually going to go low confidence Khamzat Chimaev to beat Dricus du Plessis. It seems like they're both just destined to win, but somebody got to lose. I go Khamzat Chimaev. I feel like Dricus has more paths to win, but I feel like Khamzat, if he loses this fight, his whole image is just ruined, so he just got way more to lose. Dricus has already achieved far more than he was ever expected to achieve, way more overachieved. Whereas Khamzat loses, he just becomes like a laughing stock. So I feel like Khamzat's gonna come here ready. He gonna do what he had to do. I do feel like Khamzat, if he sticks around, he's definitely gonna get fried checked in a bad way if he sticks around, even in this fight potential. But I just feel like he's going to touch goal. He just done too much. He had to get on his knees and bend over and arch his back for what's it called, war criminals or whatever, in whatever over there in Chechnya or whatever. He's been getting wined and dined by rich men and whatnot, and getting smacked around by their children and stuff. So yeah, it'd be very bad for his whole image. They take his house away. They take his kids away. Well, I don't know, his family away. It'd be a very bad day for him. So Khamzat Chimaev gonna get cardio that he never had before. He'll come in whether it be quick or long, he'll be ready for it, or at least ready to get some rounds in and then just survive the rest of them or whatever, hold his own with the rest of them. But I'm gonna say Khamzat Chimaev first round submission. I do think Dricus does give up a lot of takedowns, and I do think that he hasn't been in with a guy like Chimaev, and he really hasn't fought a grappler as far as the UFC yet. He hasn't fought one. I mean, he fought an old Derek Brunson and had issue with him. Outside of that, what grapplers had Dricus really fought inside the UFC? Fought Adesanya striker, fought Whitaker, who has some wrestling, some grappler. Realistically, Whitaker striker. So he primarily been with strikers. Sean Strickland started as a grappler, but by now he just a guy that uses his grappling to stand up and shoulder roll and jab and stay in your face and front kick you to the body. So he primarily just fought strikers. And I just think Chimaev come here, even if he's on the secret juice, he just can't afford to lose. So it's gonna be like a John Jones affair. Whether he is or not, he just not gonna lose this fight. Especially not this fight right here. He might get a little bit headstrong in the future, but this fight he gonna come in humble as possible, train as hard as possible. He gonna be on the secret juice if he needs to be on the secret juice, because he can't afford to lose here. That would look very bad on him and all his investors. And I think he'll come in here probably 2 inches taller than he ever been. Somehow come in here 6'4". Gonna look to pressure Dricus du Plessis. Probably catch him out of business, probably rock Dricus early, take him down, start to pound him. Dricus will turn to his belly. He'll get a first round rear naked choke over Dricus du Plessis and silence all the critics and make all his lover boys clap for him, and he'll get that first round sub over Dricus du Plessis. But I am definitely not betting on this fight. I'm leaving this fight alone. I'm just watching it as a fan, but I got to go Khamzat Chimaev here. This seemed like, too much lose and too much glazing going on for so many years for him to choke in this spot. So in this one, I got Khamzat Chimaev via first round submission. And so that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC. What card is this? Where's the title of this thing? UFC 319. And I'm showing you my background, but okay, it is what it is. But yeah, so that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC 319, du Plessis versus Chimaev. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.